Have you ever been scrolling and found yourself this close to hitting the buy button just because your favorite YouTuber recommended something? Yeah, you are definitely not alone. Influencers are, well, a massive force in our digital lives. But what's the actual science behind their power to persuade us? Let's get into it. So to really wrap our heads around the scale here, let's zoom in on one specific market. This number, 1.55 million, that's how many people are on Instagram in Sri Lanka. It's this booming, fast-growing creator economy, which honestly makes it the perfect place to study how influence really works. And, that gets us to the real heart of the matter. What is it that makes an influencer truly influential? I can tell you right now, it's not just about the follower count. There's a really powerful psychological thing happening that convinces us to listen, to trust, and, ultimately, to buy. Now, this is a global thing for sure, but the creator scene in a place like Sri Lanka is actually pretty new. I mean, YouTube monetization only started there in 2018. So you've got this rapidly growing community, which makes it kind of the perfect laboratory for researchers to see how influence takes root and just blossoms. So if you strip away all the fancy filters and the hashtag ad posts, what are you left with? Well, researchers have found that the secret ingredient, the real magic behind influence, it all boils down to one powerful concept: credibility. And to really get to the bottom of this, we're going to dig into this fascinating study that looked at exactly how this plays out. And they focused on one of the biggest influencer markets out there, the beauty industry. The whole study is actually built on this classic idea from psychology called source credibility theory. And it makes total sense when you think about it, right? You're way more likely to take medical advice from a doctor than from some random person on the street. It's simple, but it's also profound. We are literally wired to be persuaded by people we see as believable. Okay, so how in the world do you measure something as fuzzy as credibility? Well, the researchers were smart. They didn't just look at it as one big blob. Instead, they broke it down into 3 separate pillars to figure out what really moves the needle. And this right here shows their whole game plan. See, on the left, you've got the 3 factors they tested: attractiveness, trustworthiness, and expertise. And then on the right, that's what they were trying to predict, whether or not we'd actually want to buy the product. It's a really simple but super powerful setup. First up, let's talk about attractiveness. Now hold on, this is not just about having a pretty face. The study defines it way more broadly. It includes things like being elegant, classy, and just having an overall vibe or personality that people are drawn to. The second pillar is expertise, and this one is pretty much what it sounds like. Do we, the audience, actually believe this person knows what they're talking about? Do they have the skills, the experience, the knowledge to be a good source of info? And finally, we get to trustworthiness. And honestly, this gets right to the core of it. It's all about our confidence in the influencer's intent. Do we believe they're being real with us, or are they just, in it for the paycheck? This is all about that gut feeling we get. Okay, so the researchers crunched the numbers. They put these 3 pillars head to head. They wanted to find out what truly drives our purchase intention. That's that critical moment. You go from just watching a video to thinking, okay, I actually want that for myself. So what do you think? Have you ever actually stopped and wondered which of these things, their polished look, their deep knowledge, or just that gut feeling of trust, is the thing that actually makes you click add to cart? So what did they find? Well, it turns out that while all 3 factors had a positive effect, one of them just blew the others out of the water. As you can see right here, trustworthiness was, by a pretty big margin, the most powerful driver of our intention to buy. And the conclusion from the researchers themselves? It was crystal clear. In their own words, they say that when it comes to convincing people in the beauty world, being seen as trustworthy is the single most important thing. Period. So, what's the big takeaway here? What does all this mean for us, the people who are scrolling through Instagram and YouTube every single day? Why is this actually important to know? Well, it gives us a really clear way to think about it. If you're a consumer, it's a great reminder to be a little critical. The next time you feel that pull to buy something, just ask yourself, is it because I really trust their opinion, or am I just kind of mesmerized by their whole vibe? And for creators, it's basically a roadmap. Building a foundation of real, genuine honesty is so much more powerful in the long run than anything else. At the end of the day, what this study really suggests is that the most effective influencers, the ones who build those real, lasting connections, they're not the ones with the biggest sponsorship deals. They're the ones we believe are promoting something because they are, and I'm quoting the researchers here, sincerely convinced of its worth. That's the authenticity we're all looking for. And that kind of leaves us with one last question to chew on. In this world where the line between a personal recommendation and a paid ad gets blurrier and blurrier every day, how do we spot what's real? What does true authenticity really even mean anymore?